Fam, I hope all is well in your corner of the world. Man, we're going to continue getting into some Lupe Fiasco. They're just really, unfortunately, I miss Lupe's kind of when he was prime time in the rap game. I moved away from hip hop. I loved hip hop, loved rap growing up, and just was so disappointed with Chicago hip hop and music in general and where it was going. So I actually started going to blues and jazz. And actually, this channel is something that actually helped me get back into hip hop and get back into artists that, I heard some of Lupe's commercial hits. And I'm from Chicago, right? Kick, Push, right? He had a couple of those little hits. But someone put me on and we did Murals Breakdown. We did Bitch Bad, Woman Good. His lyrics are on point. He reminds me of I'm kind of upset with myself that I didn't listen to more Lupe back in the day because I'm not really that familiar with a lot of his work. And we love on this channel anybody with excellent wordplay, something intellectual to say. Who says that you can't be hood and have intellect as well, right? So I'm really excited to get into this. This is Around My Way. Someone in the comment section told me I should check this out. I almost didn't find it. It pulled up under Freedom Ain't Free. And I was having a hell of a lot of issues finding something that wasn't copyright protected that I could use. We have a lyric video here. I'm not sure how good of a lyric video this is, but let's get right into it. Again, you don't want to see my mug here. Let me move myself out of the way, and I'm excited. Let's get right into it here. I like that it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. Freedom Man Free. Ooh, he's got the little saxophone going. When do you hear hip hop and the sax anymore? Where'd it go, right? Cool like that. I move like that. I groove like that. Who knows that? Ooh. Bro. See, that's why I like Lupe, man. I've been getting into more of his music, and I've experienced different types of references, right? Somebody like Black Thought is going to have Christian and Muslim references, and then you get someone like Aesop Rock, and it's like abstract references. And I don't know if this is the correct terminology for properly breaking down hip hop. But man, I don't know of someone that has these intellectual, historic reference points where he's trying to share knowledge with his community, right? But again, I don't know how many people can relate to his lyrics. That's the one thing I worry about with him as an artist, right? He says, first off, peace to Pine Ridge. For those of you that don't know, Pine Ridge is an entire story. We can have an hour video on Pine Ridge. He's referring to what's called a Pine Ridge Reservation. This is somewhere in South Dakota. It's millions of acres. I want to say at least 2 to 3 million acres. Really, this has been, it got really famous in the 70s when a couple FBI agents were shot and killed there. And it's in fact a very dangerous part of the world, right? You have tribal law there. This is an Indian reservation. They're known for their sexual assaults, rape, the lack of prosecution, right? Dealing with tribal law. So it can be a very dangerous place. You got over 2/3 of the population that are living with what's called alcoholism, and they have really high rates of what's called fetal alcohol syndrome. But what a lot of people don't realize is the history there. He briefly went over this, right? He said ghost dance, Dan, that's something completely different. But what does he say right here? Shame that all the damage the white man wine did, right? Because what a lot of people don't realize, and unless you really dig into the story, and this is why I want to spend some time getting into this this type of breakdown. There's a small town. When you go outside of where they're located, there's an area you start to cross over into what's called Nebraska. And there's a small area, if I'm not mistaken, it's called White Clay, Nebraska. This is an area that's, you could call it a town. There's like under 20 people that live here. Okay. There's no official, what would you call, like, no uh, they don't have a government there, right? The sole purpose of these people is to sell liquor into this reservation, and they've been very profitable. And they, there's something like they say that 4 or 5 million cans of beer are sold to this reservation each year. And I told you the size of this; it's only 2 or 3 million acres. I don't know how many people live there, but they say it's something like 11,000 beers a day. So, alcoholism is a big problem here. I believe that it's been taken care of now. I think they actually Native Americans stepped up because this was just devastating to their community. Man, just excellent knowledge, but again, I worry with Lupe that a lot of people aren't going to be able to catch his references because you would have to know that certain facts about history to do so. But man, excellent writing, and man, shout out! Not too many people reference Pine Ridge, let alone try to share that information and story. And man, it looks like he's about to go get into Ghost Dance too. It says right here, and that's something completely different that we can get into. But let's let it ride from the beginning here.
First off, say peace to Pine Ridge, shame and all the damage that the white man wine did. Ghost dance, penalty 5 million beers a year.
Oh yeah.
And all that other crime did. More pieces to the teachers of blind kids.
Teachers of blind kids, right? Kids that have lost their way. They don't know what direction they're going in. They need guidance. They're not literally blind, right? But you might catch what he said. Here, let's run it back there. He said, "Ghost dance." Now, see, I think we. See, and I hate these lyric videos that aren't on point because what do you say after Ghost Dance, right? Ghost Dance, 5 million beers a year.
First off, say peace to Pine Ridge, shame and all the damage that the white man wine did. Ghost dance, penalty 5 million beers.
He didn't say relatives. He says Trail of Tears, which is also something that's specific to Native Americans, right? But to really understand what he references here as Ghost Dance, you have to really understand what was called the Wounded Knee Massacre. That's actually what you guys should look that up. It's just crazy. This is actually something with the U.S. government, right? The U.S. government has something called the BIA. It's the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And there was a point in history where the United States was actively trying to kill Native Americans, right? We just devastated, they put a bounty on bison, right? So they were killing all these animals that Native Americans relied on. It's just so crazy. They weren't even using the meat. If you look into it, they were just really trying to kill off Native Americans and force them into this land that was considered really useless. But there was actually a time when they cut rations for what's called I believe it's the Lakota Nation, where Pine Ridge is. And these people were desperate. So they did something called a ghost dance. And I don't really understand the specifics of it, so I don't want to act like I do. But a ghost dance, think of it like a rain dance, or think of it like something where they're either they were using it in this point because they were devastated. They were actually struggling. They were starving. So they were doing a dance that would hopefully bring better times to them. Some members of the United States Bureau of Indian Affairs thought this was something that they would do before they went into war. So the United States goes to take all of their weapons. Yeah, it's a thing. Take all of their weapons. And then I don't know what happened. Supposedly some accidental shot was fired. Basically, the United States Army ends up killing men, women, and children and just annihilating this group of people. I think something like 300 lives were lost. So that's what he means when he's talking about ghost dance. And again, you have to understand ghost dance, you have to know about really this what happened here, right? Because ghost dance is a ritual. It doesn't necessarily explain what happened with the Wounded Knee Massacre. And then he says 5 million. 5 million beers per year. And I believe he references, he says the Trails of Tear, right? This is a time, this is early 1800s when, again, the United States is trying to force Native Americans west, right, into these places that other Americans wouldn't want to go. Of course, people were resisting, but during that walk, during that trail, and again, this is the United States Army that was really treating these Native Americans bad. This is our own U.S. history. And something like 3,000 to 4,000 people actually lost their lives on that westward journey. So you can, if you really want to dig into it, you could search Wounded Knee Massacre. You could look into Trail of Tears. This is all something that is part of Native American history and United States history. And it's just crazy. That's exactly what I mean. It's like so big, but you have to kind of know something about it to catch the reference. Like 5 million bears per year, right? And the other crime stats that come with alcoholism and poverty and unemployment. So, man, really excited to get into this track because he's dropping just straight knowledge already, and we're not even a few seconds in. I haven't even gotten past the first lyric page, which unfortunately seems like there's going to be some issues with the lyrics here. So we got to listen close.
First off, say peace to Pine Ridge. Shame at all the damage that the white man wine did. Ghost dance, plenty is 5 million beers a year. And all that other crime did. More pieces to the teachers of blind kids. To red bells and small cells, keeping their mind big. Say everything's hostile. Suicide bombers and prosperity gospels. Emaciated models.
Ooh. Yo, he's saying a lot there. And it looks like he was about to say some more about the models. Emaciated, right? That's what he's talking about here. That's like abnormally thin and weak. Think of like one of those Victoria's Secret models where you can see their rib cage, right? And then he says with cocaine and blood pouring out their nostrils. Damn. But I like what he's saying. Everything's hostile, right? He's talking about, maybe he's talking about Around My Way, the name of the song. But it doesn't sound like these are issues that are specific to Chicago. These are issues in our world. What do you say? Everything's hostile. There's suicide bombers, prosperity gospels, right? He's talking about the church, right? He's talking about prosperity. There's something called prosperity theology. Is it theology? Well, basically, he's saying that he's talking about trouble within the church, right? Some people say that financial success is seen as divine favor, right? That's what a lot of these. Welcome to the Church of Christ. Yeah. We got a building fund. Yeah. The plate is going around. We want everybody to reach deep and give us that 10%. Yeah. Right. That's like that type of, that's at least the image that I get when he uses a word like that. Prosperity gospels.
Suicide bombers and prosperity gospels. Emaciated models with cocaine and blood pouring out their nostrils. They got to just to stay awake on the catwalk.
The catwalk is where you walk on the catwalk. Yeah. I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my hat. Right? The catwalk is where the models walk. And he's just playing off that wordplay there.
They got to just to stay awake on the catwalk of life where everybody watch you. Straight hair, high heels, and a handbag. Crucifixes, racism, and a land grab.
Yeah, he's talking about problems in the world, right? Straight hair, high heels, and what did he say here? And a handbag, okay. But crucifixes, right? Problems in religion. And then racism, and then land grab. Land grab can mean anything from, we have a lot of problems with housing in our country, but also we have problems with corporations sucking up and being very greedy in this country. So like a land grab, you can think about the housing recession that we had, 2008, right? There's basically the economy is just devastated. Most everyday people don't have money. They're worried about the future, but there are companies, there's corporations and people that have liquid money that they're able to do things with. So what do? They come in and they buy all this property at really undervalued rates because the economy is down. And then when the economy bounces back up, they own all this property and they can charge outrageous prices. They can have rentals where you should have homeowners. And it's kind of what we're experiencing now. So there's definitely a land grab going on. A lot of people that are into wealth and research ways to make themselves more or wealthier say that one of the few ways, the most strategic ways to build wealth is to own property, right? So just awesome that he's referencing that. So they're right. I like too how he referenced Katrina. He's obviously talking about Hurricane Katrina and the effort there, or the lack of effort with FEMA and with the government after Hurricane Katrina. FEMA stands for, I believe it's the Federal Emergency Management Association or agency. And they set up these trailers where people can live. And some of those were, they had health risk associated with that as well. Human body sandbags. Anytime you have a war, or even during COVID, there were times where the bodies are building up and you unfortunately can't bury or cremate them fast enough. So you start piling them up. They were using, semi trucks during COVID to put bodies in. Just think of that smell. But when you start laying bodies on top of each other, they look like human sandbags. And you get a lot of that with Hurricane Katrina and those devastating floods that happened. That was yesteryear, of course.
High heels and a handbag. Crucifixes, racism, and a land grab. Katrina, FEMA trailers, human body sandbags. A peace sign and a pants sag. A money toss calls a 9-stripper mad dash.
Money toss, right? You're throwing money in the air, cause a 9-stripper mad dash, right?
Like the last laugh. A Michael Jackson jacket or a Daft mask. Purple Jordans or the mixed girl in your math class.
Ooh.
Stable is when the Bath had Baghdad. But corporate jets,
bro. See, again,
gas.
it's so easy to miss, right? He's talking about everybody wanted like a hashtag, a friend request. He's talking about everybody wants it like the last laugh, right? But what he said here, where is it? Stable is when the Bath hit Baghdad. I think he's not saying, it's not spelled like that. He's saying Bahath, right? Baath in Baghdad, had Baghdad, not hit Baghdad. And he's talking about stability. The Baathists, they seized power in Iraq in the early 1960s, and they maintained ownership or leadership in Iraq all the way to Saddam Hussein. And why did they lose? Why did the area become less stable? Well, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons, but obviously the U.S. invasion in Iraq, right, where we were looking for weapons of mass destruction, right? Of course, this was after 9/11. There's a whole thing we can get at with 9/11, but 9/11, people said we entered into Iraq because they were responsible for 9/11. Well, if you do your research, obviously I'm a big fan of reading and understanding and doing research and conspiracy theories, but understanding the nitty gritty, right? I want to understand the context, the factual information. The people that were responsible for 9/11, they were from Saudi Arabia, right? They weren't from Iraq. So we had to say that they were harboring fugitives. I believe we said that there were weapons of mass destruction. Of course, we didn't find. But I think we were looking to put our people in power in Iraq. So, yes, that we were trying to stabilize the region, but we also had our own motive to do so. So he's talking about the stability in Iraq. And again, it's awesome, excellent writing. He's showing his intelligence. I think a lot of people are missing the reference, especially when you get a lyric video like this. I mean, this is kind of garbage. Not to, I don't want him to forcing me to take it down, because I don't produce lyric videos at all. I normally just pull one up, but he's missing a lot of the references here. If you're trying to read this and follow along, you have to listen.
Laugh. A Michael Jackson jacket or a Daft mask, purple Jordans or the mixed girl in your math class. Stable is when the Bath had Baghdad, but corporate jets really had to have that gas bag.
Ooh. Yeah, he's going into it here, right? We were just talking about what were the real reasons that we entered into Iraq. And what does he say? Corporate jets really needed to have that gas, right? They needed that gas bad. We needed the oil. What does he say here? War and here, let's run it back a few seconds.
But corporate jets really had to have that gas bag. More, and they hope they all fall from the rat attack, cause that's just more dinosaur for the Cadillac.
Oh, again, look at, man, it's so easy to miss that. Look at the excellent wordplay. That's just more dinosaur for the Cadillac. He obviously isn't talking about your mom, right? No, he's talking about fossil fuels. Dinosaur fossils, right? Fossil fuels, oil industry. That's how we get gas, right? They said they need more gas for their Cadillacs. So they're hoping everyone dies from that rat-a-tat-tat, right? Who benefits from war? Especially back then, there's a whole list of things. If you know VP Dick Cheney, then you might also be familiar with Halliburton, right? There's a whole conspiracy. If there is a war, it is very profitable for people in the United States, certain people, certain groups. So there's other incentives to get into conflict, right? And, we're losing women, children, soldiers, time, money, all sorts of resources. And we're just really making the pocket of the powers that be much fatter. So we can get into a whole world of information on that, but I love that he's referencing it.
When the bad had Baghdad, but corporate jets really had to have that
gas bad.
More, and they hope they all fall from the
rat-a-tat-tat.
That's just more dinosaur for the Cadillac.
Okay. It sure is nonsense. Freedom is not free. Ooh. Bro, he's talking about I believe he's talking about the government of what's called the Ottoman Empire, right? Was a monarchy. This was much of its history. This place was like an absolute monarchy ruled by a sultan. But I believe they have a constitution now. And now he's also saying they treat Ghana like garbage. I'm not exactly... And America's a big motherfucking garbage, man. Damn, it sounds like we're talking about the U.S. involvement with areas around the world and how we try to improve them for the better in our eyes, right? Let me know if you guys are history buffs, and I don't really get how Ghana, from my understanding, is one of the most politically and economically stable countries in what you would consider like sub-Saharan Africa. I believe since the early 50s, they've been independent and they have a democracy. From what I know, I'm not a big history buff, but let me know if you guys understand more about how Ghana might be treated like garbage.
Turn around and treat Ghana like a garbage can. Americans a big motherfucking garbage man. If you ain't know, you part and parcel of the problem. You say no, you ain't. Big motherfucking garbage man. If you ain't know, you part and parcel of the problem. You say
part and parcel. What did he say there? He said part and parcel. When you phrase it like that, and you're having a conversation with someone, you're saying that they're part of the problem, right? If you're saying like this is part and parcel of something, it's involved or it's included in it.
America's a big motherfucking garbage man. If you ain't know, you part and parcel of the problem. You say no, you ain't, and I say yes, you is. Soon as you find out what planned obsolescence is.
Oh, planned obsolescence. That's a marketing term. The best way to understand it, it's actually a marketing strategy. When you look at things like tablets, when you look at things like phones, they have a certain life expectancy, right? So it's a marketing strategy where they know they're deliberately making sure that the version that they sell you is going to be out of date, right? It's going to be useless or obsolete. And this method of marketing, it makes sure that if they like the product or it's something they have in their everyday life, that they're going to seek a replacement, right? Which then, of course, increases the demand. So again, it's a marketing strategy. It's called planned obsolescence. You want to see here? This is probably a good example, right? This is an iPod, right? You don't even see these anymore, but they came out. They know in another year there's going to be a different variation, right? Your iPhone is something very similar. So let it ride.
Say no you ain't, and I say yes you is. Soon as you find out what planned obsolescence is, you say no they didn't, and I say yes they did. The definition of unnecessariness manifested. Say that we should protest just to get arrested. That goes against all my hustling ethics.
For real.
Jail say it's highly ineffective.
It's highly ineffective, right? You don't want to protest just to get arrested. It's like, yo, I'm from Chicago, bro. You know, all the hustlers have told me that shit is not effective.
All my hustling ethics, a bunch of jail nippers say it's highly ineffective. Depart from Martin, connect on Malcolm X tip. Insert ball when it's similar to separate.
I love it. He's name dropping here, right? When he says depart from Martin, he's not talking about Martin, Cole, Gina, Tommy. Tommy, you ain't got no job, right? One of my favorite things from Martin is when Tommy, you know, the whole wordplay for the show was he ain't got no job. Nobody knows what he does. And somebody put up a meme after the dude who played Tommy died. And he was like, hey, it's okay, y'all. My job's going to pay for my funeral. I thought that was just awesome. Just so clever and witty. But anyway, right here, he's talking about depart from Martin, right? Martin Luther King Jr., we have a breakdown of the I Have a Dream speech. If you guys are fans of Martin Luther King Jr. or just wanted to learn a little bit more about him and the breakdown of that speech is actually down in a folder below. We actually broke down a lot of Malcolm X as well. But what he's saying here, it sounds like, is depart from Martin Luther King Jr. Preaching peace and love and connect on Malcolm X tip, right? Where he's saying by any means necessary. And we've broken down some Malcolm X as well. We have some folders that are here. If you just look through the breakdowns, they're organized.
Against all my hustling ethics, a bunch of jail nippers say it's highly ineffective. Depart from Martin, connect on Malcolm X tip. Insert ball when it's similar to separate. To me, the truth is more fulfilling than the method of...
Insert Baldwin, right? He's talking about James Baldwin. James Baldwin is pretty much known as a writer. He's been dead since my childhood. I believe he died early 80s, maybe 90s. But he's not just a writer. I mean, this guy was essays, novels, plays, poems. You might know him from I Am Not Your Negro. And if you search that, you can see a lot of his work. Just a really intellectual. And it's kind of funny. No disrespect intended, but he kind of looks like a crackhead. He's just got this odd look to him. But he's extremely intellectual and definitely somebody worth dedicating a few minutes to hearing his thoughts. You know, anybody like him, Marcus Garvey, like you just need to understand where they're coming from and what they're trying to accomplish, and just so much knowledge that he's sharing with us here.
Insert ball when it's similar to separate. To me, the truth is more fulfilling than the method.
Yeah.
Really fast internet to have some sex with. It's all one song short of a set list. Couple croissants shy of a continental breakfast. So blowing out your birthday candles just to make a death wish. So absurd, word to Chief Bone necklace.
Ooh, the Chief Bone. Yo. Chief Bone necklace. That's a real dude. He's not just talking about an Indian necklace. I believe Chief Bone Necklace was the leader of the Lakota Nation. The Lakota Nation is who he's referencing from the Indian reservation, right? And it looks like he's talking about the Lakota Sioux Casino, which is a reference to the same tribe. I didn't know they have a casino. I guess most do. It would kind of play into that. But this, man, excellent history. And just, you know, this guy is really... would be considered an intellectual or an academic to just know this much about history and be able to reference it in a song is amazing.
Internet to have some sex with. It's all one song short of a set list. Couple croissants shy of a continental breakfast. So blowing out your birthday candles just to make a death wish. So absurd, word to Chief Bone Necklace. Down at the Lakota Sioux Casino, a whole culture boiled down to giving you Pekino. I go with left as a heart in the chest, cause the Horn of Africa is now starving to death.
Damn. The Horn of Africa is on the east coast of Africa. It's the part that kind of sticks out like a rhinoceros's horn.
dreamer, Mr. Chandler. Hope and pray they take Columbus.
Mr. Chandler. Friends? Mr. Chandler, Mr. Chandler. I don't get the all white. An all white loose. I think it's probably Los Angeles. My God, with the lyric video. But still, who's the dream of Mr. Chandler? Mr. Chandler. Hope and pray they take Columbus Day out. We don't even talk about Columbus Day over here. It's Indigenous People Day. I'm not showing that man any respect. But low key, there's some respect that should be given, but it shouldn't be for discovering the United States. Yes, Native Americans were living here, so he didn't discover anything. But the fact is, other people discover the United States, other groups, and there's evidence that Africans really explored the world what could be hundreds of years prior, right? A lot of this stuff is still unfolding, but yeah, it's definitely something where there's just a lot of there's a lot of history.
The dreamer, Mr. Chandler. Hope and pray they take Columbus Day up off the calendar. South Central, an example of God's gift. So shout to all the mothers raising babies in Spot 6. The projects of Oakland City, Detroit, ghost towns. Monopolies on poverty where D-boy coke bound. There's parts of Manila like the video for Thriller, but the U.S.
Parts of Manila, right, that are like videos for Thriller. So they're probably drugged like zombies, right? They're fiending. They look like zombies. Sick wordplay.
Police on poverty where D-boy coke bound. There's parts of Manila like the video for Thriller, but the U.S. Embassy is reminiscent of a villa.
Damn.
Chocolate and privileged vanilla. Then what's the flavor of the Sunday preachers pedophilia? Everything around these. There's classrooms everywhere around me. Wither, hither you can be Mr. Burns and Mr. Smithers, the tyrant or the slave, but no way in the middle.
Wow. You can be Mr. Burns or Mr. Smithers, both references to The Simpsons, right? You can either be the tyrant or the slave, but you have to choose in America.
Hither you can be Mr.
Wow.
Burns and Mr. Smithers, the tyrant or the slave, but nowhere in the middle of the extremes of America's dream. Freud fighting Neo, Freddy Cougar referee now.
Ooh. Freud fighting Neo, right? Yeah, damn. Neo from the Matrix. And I don't think there's another verse. Wow. Yo, he dropped a lot of history here and a lot of historical facts. And shout out to Native Americans, because they definitely don't get the love and respect that they should in this country. Like the things that we've put them through as a country, not just as people, right? But our government has treated these people so unfairly. It's heartbreaking. Man, if you guys are fans of Lupe Fiasco or just some fans of intelligent hip hop, good wordplay, and great breakdowns, man, show some love. We're trying to build the channel up. We're right at around, I think today, this is the beginning of 2023. We're at about 2,300 subscribers. No, it's got to be 1,300. I started the channel like a year ago, and we quickly got 1,000 subscribers. But I really had to do some work and kind of put this on the back burner. So we're just getting back into it. Show some love if you're a real fan of hip hop and the breakdowns by liking the video, but subscribing to the channel. We're building a folder that of all breakdowns of Lupe's work and really honoring these certain really lyrically dense artists. Lupe Fiasco, A$AP Rock, Toby Wigway, Logic, J. Cole, Lil Wayne, some industry greats that are known for their great wordplay, and we're just doing the breakdown and giving it the respect that it deserves. I want to see you on the next video.